Hello there, this is Bick Benedict. We're playing Army of Two on professional difficulty, and I'm experimenting with my mic. I'm trying to eliminate the feedback whine because, let me put this forward here. What you're supposed to do. If the partner goes to it first, what you do is just lift yourself up here, but never on any of these sections. Never risk going up there all the way because there's likely to be enemies up on the next higher platform to greet you. Like here, there's two guys, and then there's this guy here to shoot. And then once you get up here, I think it's just press up on the analog, and then just once you're on the higher platform, just don't even move. It'll have the A button on there for you to pull the partner up, and always pick up these ammo sacks. This game, this chapter, or excuse me, what I was going to say was that I'm trying to eliminate the feedback whine in some of my videos. I honestly don't know how to do it. It's like a $150 mic. It's an Audio Technica mic. My other mic was doing it too. It was an Audio Technica mic. I really don't know why I chose that brand, but they're good looking side condenser mics or whatever. They're nice quality, and I've got a windscreen on it, and I have to have the fan on in my room because I suffer even in winter. My room is the stuffiest room in this house, so I've shut the window. I'm trying to fix the problem of the feedback whine, and sometimes it just happens when I leave the audio recorder on for too long and I restart the computer and it goes away. But it might not even be feedback whine. It's just you can hear it in the videos, and it pisses me off, and it almost makes the videos unwatchable. So just be aware that I'm aware of that problem. So, like some of these chapters, what I was going to say was that I think there's 6 chapters. So this is the first chapter. They're all going to be in self-contained videos, except for the fact that I'm going to have to squeeze some of these gunfights together, because I remember, like, some of these chapters I was just begging for this game to be over, because, like, there will be like gunfights that will last like 30 minutes long, and I can't narrate that. It'll take too long, and I don't have that kind of time, so I'm going to have to squeeze it together and have it in fast forward mode for fights that last like over 10 minutes. So I'm sorry about that. If you don't like it, you can just watch the parts that are in normal speed. But like I just don't know why some of these chapters. Yeah, I think it took me like 7 hours to beat the last chapter, and I was admittedly struggling on a couple of parts, because there will be like a 30-minute gunfight, and then there will be no checkpoint after. There will be enemies running after you again, so you have to be extremely careful and tentative, and try to know where the checkpoints are and never push forward too much. But yeah, I thought I was going to do the guide a day before this, and then I come back the next day, and it goes on and on and on and on. It's like chapter 5 and 6. Those are the longest chapters in this game for sure. But the biggest problem about this game is that you can't manually swap shoulders, and it's just a big problem because you can't figure out. You can't. Just makes everything more difficult. So it's always aiming from the right side, but if you're in cover, it will automatically do it if you're behind something that you can slide into. Like if the game doesn't think it's cover, you're not going to be able to switch shoulders, and it makes for a really aggravating experience. I hope they fixed it in the next game, because why in hell would you not have that in a game like this? I mean, you will see him do it, but you can never do it yourself to like go around a corner and just manipulate things. I don't know. It just makes me. I'm just really baffled why they would not do that in this game. So again, you have to be up against cover, and it'll do it for you. But most of the time, it's just really messy. And I don't know. But anyway, another one of my complaints about this game is that it's just way too densely filled with enemies, and these enemies have way too much HP. So put on weapons that have the most possible damage and upgrade the weapons. I have like 83,000 money going into this, so you do bring what you've earned in the previous campaign to this campaign. So I would pick, like for instance, at the end of this chapter, I upgraded my AK-47. Yeah, just be aware of enemies running up to you. They like to do that as well. But like on a chapter like the last chapter, it's just too much. It's just way too many enemies, and these enemies have a way of like reading all your inputs too when you're aiming on them. They move around and just really fast. They move around like rabbits all over the place. It's really bizarre, but I put this in fast forward. So when you have a riot shield here, you can see the shield's integrity on. You see where it is, a little shield with the health bar right there. You can see that, and whenever you have it, the partner is going to be shooting all the enemies for you. So it's pretty safe to do it. You know, if I don't have to shoot, then I'm actually pretty happy. But I like this game. It's just I'm not very good at aiming to begin with, and the Xbox 360 controller, the analog sticks are a lot less sensitive than the PS3's controller, which I don't really use anymore. Now that they have the ability to use a PS4 controller on the PS3, so I'll be doing that from now on. But there's nothing even on the PlayStation. I mean, there's nothing for me to play anymore. You know, I got this game off of a recommendation, and I actually downloaded the demo quite a while ago, but they don't have a single-player campaign demo, so I just deleted it and I forgot about the game. I don't know. I like in Spec Ops: The Line how not Spec Ops. What am I talking about? Ghost Recon Future Soldier. The enemies have like 5 hits and they're dead. You can shoot them through walls, but this game it's just way too much. It's just I'm not complaining. I mean, I realize it's a gun game. I'm fully aware of that. Here I thought my partner was a bad guy, but anyway, this is the next section. I believe you get a checkpoint. Anytime you see, it'll say checkpoint on the top of the top left of the screen. If you don't see that, you're not getting a checkpoint. So you have to be very careful. But anyway, I looked at the reviews for the sequel to this game, and the next game looks pretty good. But I've heard bad things about Devil's Cartel. But I mean, at least this is a third-person shooter. I mean, everything has to be first-person shooters these days, or in the first-person perspective, and it just makes me so mad that it always has to be like that for the most part. Because I just hate first-person games. Yeah, it just feels like something's missing. I used to play them. I used to play like Turok on the N64. I used to like them, like Doom, stuff like that, but I think I grew out of that perspective a long time ago. I don't know. Anyway, over here, I went the wrong way. I'm sorry about that. That won't happen too often. Especially that there's a nice little waypoint with a GPS will tell you exactly where to go. But I wish there were... Okay, here's the next section, checkpoint time. What I really wish about this game is that there's not enough like quiet downtime sequences where you're just running around examining things. This game has bad pacing because it's all just total action, and that's pretty good. But you really appreciate the downtimes, when you don't have to be shooting enemies constantly. At least I do, anyway. I mean, I like a little minor puzzle solving that's not too intensive, just maybe a little platforming, even though in this game it would just be quick time events or whatever, but I don't know. The little cover trick where you're actually behind cover but you can shoot enemies when they can't shoot you, it still works on this game. But the bullets do scrape against the environment a lot of the times, and you'll be firing right into an enemy, and you'll not see his health bar go down. So that's a big indicator of the fact that your bullets are hitting the environment and not hitting the enemy. So the other thing I need to talk about is the icons on the bottom right. Basically, this is not a big babysitting fest like Spec Ops: The Line was. That game was just a lot of constant having the partner fall down, and I realize that having watched that guide now, or from a more distant perspective, that I probably was putting the character in peril by having him go back or progress too much. But in this game, you could always send the character back right where you are by pressing left on the D-pad, which will regroup him to where you're located. If you press left on the D-pad twice, then he'll be in a non-defensive stance. Other than that, is that a hexagon? No, it looks like an octagon on the right side of the screen. If your partner is ever in peril, you can either have him regroup or just put him in defensive mode. And over here, sorry I pressed start there. What you want to do is, remember from the tutorial, press the right bumper and then press left to do the co-op snipe, and then aim, and then it'll go into the split screen here. You're on the left, and what they want you to do is just both of you and push up on the left analog stick to hit the propane tank. I mean, not to hit it, but just to zoom in. And then what will happen is when you fire, the partner will fire. So I've never really experienced too much failure in that department. But anyway, okay. So if you want your teammate to have the aggro, then what you have to do is is that one too? Yeah, that has to be an octagon. I'm sorry, I barely know my shapes. I can't even do borrowing in math. And if you want to laugh at that, go for it. But I don't even care. Like I was thinking about going on YouTube and watching a tutorial to figure out how to do that, but I don't even care. So yeah, I know it's 3rd or 5th grade shit, but I must have been sick that week when they're doing the borrowing. That has to be it, because I never learned it and no one ever taught me it. So sad case, but I mean, I just don't even give a shit. So I don't. Okay, so what else was I saying? Okay, we'll go on to the aggro. Here is a death scenario here. So I suppose some people who are really strict about this game would consider the down but not out situation to be a failure, but not in my eyes, because it's not actually giving me the game over screen. But what happens is, it kind of reminds me of getting interrupted in the process of doing a UT in Ninja Gaiden. When the partner's trying to heal you, that is, and he's getting clipped by bullets. So that was actually a good kill. You have to be taking the stress off the partner when he's dragging you into different parts of the map. But sometimes I feel like where the fuck are you dragging me to, man? There's a much better place over there, but you have no control over it. And likewise, when the partner's down, the partner's health is in the top right. So just remember that. You have to drag him to safety, or if you're in a safe place, just hold down the A button until he's fixed. See, this whole time I was almost dying here because there's too many people interrupting him. But I think overall this is a really competent game that works very well, but it's just too densely populated with enemies, and the swapping shoulders, there's no fucking excuse for that. No excuse. I mean, I would like to actually hear people who would defend that in the comments. And don't worry, I'm not gonna, I'm not getting into arguments. Those days are over. There's nothing more futile than arguing on the internet, because it just goes nowhere. And there's too many people on the internet who always have to think they're right, and they can never concede that, oh, I might be wrong about something, or I might have to relook at my perspective. But not being able to manually swap the shoulders, how can you defend that? How can you say that this game is better for it, or it doesn't need it, when it's a game like this, an over-the-shoulder perspective, cover-based shooter where you're ducking behind objects? So anyway, so just basically, I don't really put. You see how I put the octagon into the red phase? I don't do that too much, because I'm always worried that he's going to go out of control too much with with all of the attention on him. So I usually just keep him in defensive posture, but you're going to have to do that when you're going to have to put him in aggro state and give him all the aggro when you're dealing with the heavy duty enemies whom you have to go behind and have the attention off of you, so that you're that translucent in the translucent phase where you can kind of sneak around people. But I've said this a lot in like Ninja Gaiden 2, like making the enemies aggro. I guess this is the origin of that term, but it doesn't really mean that in this game. It just means having all the attention on you. It doesn't mean like you're going close enough to like an enemy or where an enemy is going to spawn to trigger them. But mostly it's... Do you remember in Chapter 10 of Ninja Gaiden when I was going to... one of the last save points, and those chainsaw bazooka zombies were just standing there, and I was just going up to them just close enough so that they would not, quote unquote aggro or animate and become alive. They were just standing in one spot. If you want to look at that, that's exactly what aggro means to me, but it has a different take in this game. Sorry about this stupid cutscene, but that's definitely what I mean by aggro. Enemies that are already spawned and are just kind of standing and waiting for you, and will not do anything until you cross an invisible line on the map. So this is the last section of the chapter here. You're going to get on the turret and just do some shooting. So what I would do if I were you to make sure that you maximize your hitting power is that you never stop shooting, because it never overheats. You have as many bullets as you want, and if you just keep holding down the right trigger, then you'll hit more people, obviously, than if you shoot a lot, then stop, move around, shoot a lot, just keep holding it down. And I've never died on a sequence like this, so they're pretty fair. All you have to do is kill X number of enemies, and then the chapter will end. But so I'm looking forward to this guide. I'm also dreading it a little bit. Some of these gunfights that are just way too long. I'm going to have to do something about it, but I really wanted to thank everybody for watching. And then the next chapter will be in Afghanistan. It'll be chapter 2 of 6, and I'll see you over there presently. Thanks for watching.